Warning. Do not watch this video if your soul is fragile. Do not watch this video if you do not want to spend the rest of the day in tears. Do not watch this video if you do not want your heart broken. This is reposted as a service to whatever is left of the Spirit of God in the collective human soul. Subscribe to Kamarusan 714 YouTube channel. The link is in the description.
Shine, Jesus, shine in our faces. Shine, Jesus, shine on our faces. Shine, Jesus, shine on our faces, oh
In an unbelievable turn of events, 15 felony charges are being filed against a duo who released and exposed Planned Parenthood. Prosecutors in California issued arrest warrants on Tuesday for the two anti-abortion activists who secretly taped and later published conversations with more than a dozen Planned Parenthood healthcare providers. 15 felony counts were filed against these two heroes for recording confidential communications and conspiring to record confidential communications. Is that a joke? Little babies are being murdered, and you're worried about confidential communications? That the babies are coming out alive, that they are aborting.
Not a matter of how I feel about it coming out of tech, but I got to worry about my staff and people's feelings about it coming out looking like a baby.
Is there any standard procedure for verifying signs of life?
Well, the thing is,
That doesn't go in a chart.
I mean, the key is you need to pay attention to who's in the room, right? We have the people who do our paperwork for the fetal death certificates. They email us calling them babies. Baby this, baby that, baby so-and-so. And I'm like, that's creepy. And then we don't have to worry about that because the Arizona State law says if there's signs of life, then we're supposed to visit.
Yeah.
Research shows that DITCH doesn't make the procedure easier in someone who is well trained. But I have to tell you anecdotally, my biceps appreciate when the DITCH works.
Really?
So,
it's in the biceps when you're doing a D&E?
It does not take me any longer to complete the procedure, but it takes more force.
Really? What is it when you're doing a non-DITCH D&E? That's where
it takes a bit more, yeah.
Wow.
So I remember when I was a fellow and I was trained, I was like, oh, I have to hit the gym for this.
You have to go to the gym in order to do it. When does it start? What gestation does it start getting really difficult? Like it is like a workout.
20 weeks.
At 20, that's when it becomes difficult.
You all heard that correctly. She was saying that she has to use her bicep to pull the baby out because it's fighting for its life. It's clinging on to the mother inside of the womb. That's not just a piece of flesh. That is a life. And they rip it out. They've done an excellent job in exposing Planned Parenthood and the evil and the evils that they commit every day.
As we mentioned earlier in the program, the Center for Medical Progress's explosive undercover video graphically describes late-term abortion. David Daleiden, the man who captured that undercover video, joins us now from our studio in Orange County, California. David, thank you so much for joining us.
Lauren, it's great to be back on with you.
Tell me why you are releasing this new video today. What do you hope to accomplish?
Well, I think that the public and the public's elected representatives need to be reminded of the truly barbaric nature of Planned Parenthood's late-term abortion business, baby body part selling business, and the public debate at this really critical time when we're on the cusp of forcing taxpayers to subsidize the biggest monster abortion business in the country. That public debate needs to be fully informed. And so videotapes like this, we're going to continue releasing in the coming weeks here.
As you were listening to Dr. Taylor talking about late-term abortion, what was going through your mind?
You know, I have to say that conversation at a very swanky Planned Parenthood networking reception was one of the most disturbing conversations that we had early on during the course of the investigative project. When she said that she feels it in her biceps when she's doing a dismemberment abortion with forceps on a late-term baby, I almost dropped my wine when I heard that. And I'd already heard a lot of stuff at that point, but that was shocking to me.
The other piece of that was that it seems, at least you're saying in your press release, that you believe that she's committed infanticide. Do you have any proof of that?
Well, I think it's really, I think it should be troubling to everyone, and I think it's prima facie evidence for law enforcement when you ask a late-term abortion doctor who does procedures on 5- and 6-month-old healthy, viable children. You ask her, is there a standard procedure for verifying the signs of life in the baby if it comes out in one piece, which is what you're supposed to do under the law? And her response is to laugh and say, you know, the key is you need to pay attention to who else is in the room with you when that happens. That's not, those aren't the words of someone who's following the law. Those are the words of someone who's covering up something that's really, really grave, and it could be infanticide.
Now, do you believe that it's coincidence that today that you were charged in California with 15 felonies? Did you know those those charges were coming?
No, you know, the charges are really bogus in a lot of ways because, you know, the charges are all based on the California recording law, which is not triggered and isn't an issue so long as the conversations that are being taped are public conversations happening out in the open in a public area, which every last videotape that's referenced in the Attorney General's complaint was. So, so we weren't expecting them to file such a weak case. A case that probably won't survive a couple of motions to dismiss. But I do think in a broad sense, I don't think it's a coincidence that when Planned Parenthood really has their head on the chopping block here with the new administration, with a pro-life Congress that has the votes and can defund them pretty imminently here with the reconciliation bill that a lot of people are talking about, I don't think it's a coincidence that Planned Parenthood is very, very desperate right now, and they're going to be lashing out in any direction that they can and in every direction that they can because they are faced with imminent extinction.
After the last round of videos were released, there was a House Select Committee put together, and they found some of those Planned Parenthood affiliates. They sent these cases to the FBI and to the Department of Justice for criminal prosecution. Is that your goal, criminal prosecution?
Absolutely. Planned Parenthood is not above the law. The kinds of atrocities against humanity that they have been committing in their late-term abortion and baby parts business over the past decade and longer are horrific. Americans are shocked and horrified by it. We don't want our tax dollars to contribute to something like that. And Planned Parenthood needs to be held accountable to the law like any other organization. The fact that they have been selling baby body parts for profit needs to be prosecuted on a federal level to the full extent of the law.
But they say
and the evidence is all there. The evidence is all there in the very good investigative work done over the past year by the House Select Investigative Panel in an over 2,000-page report with exhibits and documentation, and also the report by the Senate Judiciary Committee.
But I think other people would say that there is not that proof yet, and there have been no charges. And I think that you are leading the fight in that battle, but wouldn't you agree that you're not quite there yet?
No, we won't be there yet. Justice won't be served until Planned Parenthood is indicted for their criminal role in the harvesting and trafficking of baby body parts for profit, for the way that they have commodified the little hearts and lungs and livers and brains of our unborn brothers and sisters. The evidence is there. The congressional investigations got the contracts with companies like STEM Express and Advanced Bioscience Resources. They got the invoices. Now, this is very interesting. They haven't released the invoices, so that's something that they ought to do because the public has a right to know. The actual invoices that Planned Parenthood would fill out and send to their business partners like STEM Express, charging per body part, per baby body part that was harvested. Those documents would be the foundation of a federal criminal case against Planned Parenthood, and they need to come to light for all the world to see.
Before I let you go, David, there have been charges. You have been accused of doctoring videos, doctoring the videos that you released in 2015. And I want you to go on the record and say, on this case, did you or did you not doctor those videos?
I will go on the record. The video camera doesn't lie. And if Planned Parenthood is going to try to evade any kind of public scrutiny by relying on that tired old talking point, then the challenge to Planned Parenthood today is if there's anything that's inaccurate about my videotapes, if they want to try to say that these are not Planned Parenthood doctors, these are not Planned Parenthood executives who are featured on those tapes, then let those individuals come forward. Put their Senior Director of Medical Services, Deborah Nucatola, on CNN. Put them on Fox News. Put them out in public. Let them come forward and say that is not my face, that is not my image, that is not my voice. Let them say that those are not their words captured on video camera for all of history to see, saying these things that the public is so horrified about and that we've all been so shocked by. Planned Parenthood can't prove that. The video camera doesn't lie. These are their own people, their own leadership, in their own words, and they need to be held accountable for it.
David DeLayden, project lead for the Center for Medical Progress. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Lauren.
Now, in that same Do Not Fear, it talks about the 5 Supreme Court justices that Donald Trump will appoint. God will use Donald Trump to appoint the 5 Supreme Court justices, and in that, it said that Roe versus Wade would be overturned at some point. Now, a sign was given yesterday, and the lady who was responsible for Roe versus Wade died at 69 years old. And that is a prophetic sign right now, I believe, of what's going to take place in the not-so-distant future, that Roe versus Wade will be overturned. Roe versus Wade will die. The lady who was responsible for Roe versus Wade, now, in her defense, she had became a Christian, I believe, and she was turned pro-life after that. But the point being is that this is a prophetic sign that was given 3 to 4 weeks into President Trump's presidency, and that prophetic word specifically stated that Roe versus Wade was going to be overturned. So that was a huge sign that was given to the people yesterday.
Yes, that's something that a lot of people are looking forward to. I myself it would be a huge victory against the evil on the earth, and I can see all the ramifications that would come from that. I mean, it is huge, really.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, some of these states, these blue states, and some of these blue cities, if you will, the big cities, you know, I think what's going to happen when you see Roe versus Wade overturned on a national level, we're going to throw it back to the states. And this is where it's going to get a little bit sticky for the states. If you live in a blue state, they may try and keep it. If you live in a red state, they're going to get rid of it. So I think it's all going to hinge on state by state after that point. Now, this still remains to be seen, but the point being is that on a national level, it will be overturned. And you're going to see a lot of states fall in place on that as well. But what's going on, I want to kind of touch on these blue states and these blue areas, if you will, like in California right now. California is really going through it right now. And I see, you know, we have good, righteous people in these blue zones, in these blue areas, basically. And California being one of them, we got good people out in California. But California is really going through it, so we need to be praying for the people in California right now. Because the people in California, because they're trying to secede from the nation right now. And what you're seeing taking place, it's not the people per se in that state that's doing it, it's the leadership. The same way what you saw happening on a national scale, you're going to see start happening on a state level at this point. So what's happening is that the people aren't the ones that are rebelling. It's the governor out there. You got Nancy Pelosi. You got Feinstein. All these leaderships are leading California to a very dangerous place, and the people of California need to be praying. They need to be interceding. They need to rise up, and they literally need to impeach these people who are in leadership, or vote them out of office, and make sure, because like we have found out through this whole electoral process, that the Democrats have been manipulating these elections, that some of these people were actually elected to that office because they may have stolen the office. So they need to rise up. They need to impeach these people, get them out of office, because California right now, the leadership is in direct rebellion with the plans of God and God's agenda. And that's why you're seeing what's happening in California take place right now. And you're going to see it in other blue zones as well. I think California will become a red state at some point.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But I believe that it's going to take the people rising up and, like I say, impeaching this governor. This governor is a defiant governor. He is just rebellion in the face of God right now. Nancy Pelosi, Feinstein, all those people. I mean, California is not the only ones. We've got some other blue states as well. And then you've got the inner cities, even in the red states, that are blue. So it's a matter of, going in there, educating people, bringing people to know the Lord Jesus Christ, and, voting some of these people out, voting these leaders out. And I think you're going to see that begin to happen. However, you're going to see stuff like what happened in Orlando with the Pulse shooting. You may see some of those things happen in these blue zones, per se, sometimes those things have to happen to get people's attention, to make them get on their knees, to repent, to realize, hey, yeah, we are in error. We need to straighten these things out. So that's what I believe is going on in California right now. I believe there's a huge spiritual battle over California right now, because they know that whichever way California swings, they don't want California going red. The leadership doesn't, because they know that is definitely going to be the death of the Democratic Party, which is what you're seeing now anyway. I think you're seeing a death to the Republicans and the Democrats, because God's had it with their agendas, period. He wants his agenda. He wants God's agenda in there.
I believe that a lot of Pizzagate and pedophilia is going to catch up to them, and
yes, absolutely.
And that's going to be a way to get rid of a lot of them, and give way to the people. I'm so looking forward to that.
Yes, and that leads me to my next point. I'm glad you brought that up, is because Pizzagate, the Clinton Foundation, all of these things are going to come around, and you're going to see these tribunals break out. These people, there's going to be a lot of job openings coming up. So I want to encourage the Army of God right now that if you are called to the position of a judge, if you're called to the position of a senator, congressman, or woman, it doesn't matter if you're at the local, state, or federal levels. If you're called to one of those positions or chosen to be in one of those positions, you need to get ready to take your place, because there's going to be a lot of job openings coming up, because when that stuff begins to break and they begin to arrest these people, there's going to be this massive job openings, per se, these openings, that this void is going to be created. And I believe that God wants to put his own people in those voids, so that now we can begin to rule and reign on a godly level, on a level of righteousness now. So the people need to get ready for that.
Yeah, this is the opportunity for the righteous sons and daughters to step up, stand up for what's right, stick to their guns, and get in there with extreme prejudice.
Absolutely.
These people on the left, people in general, there's a sense of panic. It's only going to get worse.
Right, and the thing that you say about that is true, because it's not just the left that's panicking, but you've also got a huge majority of the church that's panicking, because they've lost their discernment. They still cannot discern that Donald Trump was chosen by God, and that this is God's agenda that's going forth. But, it's like the church is still having a hard time trying to comprehend that this is who God has chosen. Purging the land is not Donald Trump's doing. It is God's doing. God's plan and agenda is to purge the land of any and all illegal activity, corruption, gangs, ISIS. It doesn't matter who they are, to get rid of all of them. It is God's agenda, God's plan. He is utilizing Donald Trump in order to do that. And that's what the church has to understand. But they can't, too many of them still cannot comprehend it right now.
It's a little sad, but We know we need to keep the church in our prayers.
Yeah, so we need to be praying for the church, for God to open the eyes of the church, open their ears to the plans of God, and get on board with the plans of God, with President Trump. Now, I understand that we don't put our faith in a man, which would be Donald Trump. I get that, and that's not what I'm telling people to do here. However, it is our duty to pray for those in leadership and to support them. Whether you like Donald Trump, you don't like him, you agree with him, or you don't agree with him, he is God's chosen man for this hour right now. God's looking for a people who will stand up, who will push back this new world order like we've talked about before, so that the gospel can go throughout all the earth. And we will do that. We're already doing it. We're in the midst of doing that now. But in the case of the book of Revelations right now, people are so focused on trying to figure out when the Lord is coming back, it's becoming a stumbling block. It's robbing people of their hope. It's giving them this mentality that we've got 2 or 3 years left, and it's taking them out of the fight. So to that, I say, focus on the mission. Don't focus on the obstacles right now, or let it become an obstacle, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Jesus said it best, and I'm paraphrasing. You guys can figure out the weather, but you can't discern the times and seasons that we're in. And that's kind of like what's going on right now with the church, because they've lost their discernment. They've given it up, and we've talked about that through the 501c3, which I believe is a huge part of why they've lost their discernment. Their timeline has been denied by our Heavenly Father right now. So it's now our time as the army of God to push the enemy back and to focus on pushing the enemy back. And you can't do that if you're stuck in survival mode, hunkered down, thinking we're going to be out of here in 2 or 3 years, because nobody's going anywhere till the job's finished, period. So God has too many things he wants to complete on the earth before any of that takes place. So, again, I'm not trying to give people a false sense of timing, that because the Lord can come back whenever he wants. But the point being is, move forward. Keep looking forward. Focus on the mission.
The murderous satanic cult of abortion needs to be stopped, and the murderers of innocents must be made to pay for their crimes against humanity with the harshest sanctions we can think of. We are all God's children. It's time for the hidden Holocaust to end. Pray for the babies. Pray for those trafficked. Pray for those abused. Pray for those sacrificed to Satan. Pray, but most importantly, get off your asses and do the Lord's work in any way the Spirit moves you. Evil triumphs when good people think it's someone else's job, and they sit around feeling helpless and end up doing nothing. Do what you can. Help when you can. It's your fight, a fight for your family, a fight for your country, a raging battle for your soul. This is Dave from Net4Truth USA, Whirlwind Revolt. Thank you for watching. Do what you can.
Please subscribe to
Help
our
when
backup
you
channels.
Can. It's your
Whirlwind
fight.
Revolt.
A fight for your family.
Inglorious
a fight
Patriots.
for your country.
And Net4Truth
a raging
USA
battle
2 Patriot
for your
channel.
soul.
You
This
can
is
also
Dave
find
from
us at
Net4Truth USA,
Net4Truth
Whirlwind
USA
Revolt.
on BitChute.
Thank you for watching.
We fly so close to the target, we're on our 4th fighter jet. We will be relentless truth seekers until the enemies of freedom are defeated.
You can support this channel by using the links in the description. But for a $100 donation, I will personally send you a autographed hardcover special edition copy of Land of Childhood's Fears. Also, visit my bookstore at lulu.com/Net4Truth USA. If you are viewing this video on BitChute, you can use the links in the description to support us, or simply click the green $ dot on our video to support this channel. Thank you. Links are in the description section.